Hey y'all, it's your girl CJ, and we are doing our very first primetime show. Welcome everyone. Sorry I was a bit late. Just trying to get everything together, trying to post to the community, and StreamYard kind of I had set the time incorrect, so hopefully everybody got the notification and is here. I posted it to community post. And everything. So, welcome to Celebrity Dockets. We are now moved to prime time, and our new this will be our new showtime Monday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be getting together with you to do a docket rundown, and we have a super fun show for you guys today. We are doing 20 plus cases on the rundown, as well as our normal top three cases that we're following right now, which is Blake Lively still with the 47.1, as well as the David case and the Spencer Pratt lawsuit as well. And then we'll just do a full rundown, some new ones. I've been working. Gay says, you call 11:20 a.m. prime time? Where are you at, Gaith, where it's 11:20? Prime time for the U.S., I guess I should say, huh? I should specify. So I haven't seen you guys in 2 weeks. Hi, everybody. I haven't seen it, y'all in 2 weeks, but so we have a lot to go over. So a lot of it, you guys might already know what's been going on. So we'll just kind of recap. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into the show page. As you guys know, the show notes are on celebritydockets.com right when you go. If you wanted to follow along with the show notes or just read them later without any commentary, you can always go back there on the main page. So yeah, so let's just head into episode 4, new night, new time, same docket. And let me put myself into mini mode so you guys can see everything. I do have my QR code back up. So if you guys find value in the show, you can always scan that. I just went through my analytics again, and the people watching me on TVs has been growing. So now it's our second most, but it's at 40 something percent. So I thought that was cool that people either watch on mobile or on the TV. We don't have a lot of PC watchers. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. Oh, Gaith is Australian, so it's morning time over there. Love it, love it. We do have an update on the Rebel Wilson US trial. We're still waiting on all the Australian stuff. It could take months to a year for that case, the Rebel Australia case. So we'll still keep an eye. We'll actually check the docket while we're there when we're talking about Ghost and see if anything has happened on that docket. Oh, thank you, Khaleesi, for being replay crew. Yes, enjoying Memorial Day weekend, I'm sure. She said she's heading out, so enjoy the live. I'll be replay crew. So thank you to all our members that are here. Just Khaleesi. And I think we have Christina as well as our mod, and DFJ as our mod. I don't know if she's on here. We have the times mixed up, so shout out to them if she's on here. Can someone teach CJ how to pronounce my name properly? Is it Gelth? Gelth Walker? Okay, thank you. I was trying to come up with a joke, but I also don't know who's in here and if they would be offended. Although if I talk, oh, because I thought it was an I. You guys, we're already having so much fun. If I talk with a lisp, I sound like I'm Gaith. I thought it was an I. Gelf. Okay, it's a lowercase L. Okay, cool. Love that. Gelf. Yes, Gelf Walker. All right, y'all, let's get right into it. Love that we're having fun on the show already. So let's go ahead and continue. Today on the docket is going to be People versus David. The preliminary hearing has been continued to June 29th. We're also going to go over Lively versus Wayfarer, 47.1 watch. We're still waiting for Liman. All the PR stuff going on in the background for that. Pratt versus City of LA, which is the one that I'm following right now because the first ballot race for the mayor is going to be June 2nd. So that's coming up, I believe, next week. So that'll be interesting to see if he gets on the ballot because he did say he's moving out of LA. So we're going to get into what are the implications. We didn't get, it was supposed to be a status conference recap, but we don't know what happened at that status conference. But we're still going to give you a recap because his lawyer did speak and Courthouse News had the latest. So we'll get into all that. Also Flag versus Swift, which is one that I know you guys all watch Abe, Ashley Brianna Eve, and she's been covering this case really like deep diving into it. So I recommend you guys go over to her for the deep dives, but we're going to get into what's the latest on that case. And I love that she's super thorough with the PR stuff on it too. And then we're going to do the docket rundown, everything that's still moving. The Kanye West hurricane verdict that happened. There's a new Kevin Hart lawsuit that came up. You guys, the reason why I did switch it to primetime and then took that extra week in between is because I added, what is it? 8 more new cases. We're at 48 now. With the 2 that I'll be adding this week, we'll be at 50 cases that we're basically covering on celebrity dockets. So yeah, I had a lot to do on the website. As you guys can see, there's a ticker now at the top with the latest news that I added. And then also as a side quest, as if there wasn't already enough to do, I started a true crime story show of some cases that we were covering. DFJ and I did a show last night on the Larry Maletti case. So for all you true crimers, up here on the right where you see the star that says TCS, and we'll get into it at the end of the show when I show y'all all the updates to the site. So let's just go ahead and start with People versus David. The May 12th brief status hearing ended up being that there was no preliminary hearing on May 26th, like we were supposed to have. It was extended. So now the preliminary hearing is going to be June 29th with the status conference on June 17th. 10 out of the 40 terabytes in discovery were turned over. So we're going to go over that, plus all the citizen sleuth research from the Dave Idiots community, which I love. That's where I get up to date on everything that's going on with David, is on the Dave Idiots subreddit. So here's the latest update for those. Obviously, this was, on May 12th, so 2 weeks ago. But for those who don't know or haven't been privy to the David case, we'll just all go over it together. The hearing was held and continued to June 29th with the status hearing on June 17th, as well as the defense attorneys argue that they're still waiting on portions of the prosecution's DNA-related discovery. They suggested that delays are impacting their ability to proceed. Prosecutors reportedly pushed back on the characterization of the delay, expressing frustration of their own regarding the pace of the proceedings and ongoing discovery disputes. The hearing itself was described as very short and procedural in nature, with no testimony presented and no substantive evidence argued in open court. Prosecutor Beth Silverman stated that 10 terabytes had been turned over to the defense, and the case continues to center around an enormous volume of digital and forensic evidence. Prosecutors previously stated they had collected approximately 40 terabytes of material connected to the investigation, and today stated that it would take months to turn over that amount of discovery to defense. The preliminary hearing, this was actually written the day of. The preliminary hearing, once it finally proceeded, is expected to be a major evidentiary event where prosecutors will attempt to establish probable cause and outline key portions of the forensic case against Burke. And I've seen how a California preliminary, criminal hearing, obviously it's in LA and not San Diego, but for the Larry Maletti case that we're now seeing going to actual trial, I followed the preliminary hearing, and now that the trial is actually underway, I noticed that it was just like a mini trial because they're calling up the same witnesses almost in the same order, and they're testifying to almost the same thing. So this will be like a mini preview of what we'll get in the trial, because they don't have to give all their evidence, y'all. Only enough to show the probable cause that it should proceed to trial. Discovery disputes are common in large homicide prosecutions involving extensive digital evidence, forensic testing, and DNA analysis. Delays at this stage do not necessarily indicate weakness by either side, but they can shape defense strategy and timing. Burke remains in custody without bail, and he has pleaded not guilty to all charges. The hearing appeared to underscore growing tension between the prosecution and defense over discovery timing, particularly forensic and DNA evidence that may become central to the preliminary hearing later this summer. So I had it had notes of Mark Furman and OJ. I just started to think about, because I'm like, what is the other biggest criminal celebrity case? And to me, that's the one that comes to mind. Aaron Hernandez as well, but he was more football player. I mean, he's still a celebrity, but just how important it's going to be that the chain of custody of everything happened the way it was, because that's something that the defense can pounce on. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of this DNA, that they're still waiting on portions of this DNA discovery. What happens with that? We also got some new images from Mona Edwards that I updated to the courtroom culture. to the courtroom culture page where I do all the courtroom sketches. So let me see if I can just pull that up for you guys to show you all the new sketches. So here's all of Mona Schaefer. So we already had this one and this one. So here are the new ones. So you guys can just scroll sideways through them all. We still have Bill Robles' original sketch up here. But if you continue down, you can see we now see him in shackles. So this was like a really important sketch, I felt like, because you see him all shackled up and his feet are all shackled up as well. And then, and maybe I need to like fix this picture so it's smaller so y'all can see the feet. But, and then obviously the one that's shown there from Court TV that was bought from Court TV. And he supposedly was just very, very calm. And then at the end, Lauren Conlon, she had someone boots on the ground from LA Mag. So shout out to, I forget what her name is. I think it's Tracy. It starts with a T. But shout out to her for being boots on the ground court reporting. It's not easy. And yeah, she said that David winked at his attorney, Blair Burke. So that was like some of the big talk that came out of the preliminary hearing. But let's get back to the episode. So here's the tea, and this is what I ran with the thumbnail. So someone came out with David's 5th grade yearbook from 2016. A former classmate found David in their 2016 yearbook, and he was part of the safety patrol. Real name David Burke, the same name on the criminal complaint. Because you know what is so funny that I would just call him David, but this is D4VD, and I guess that's what he used to call himself too. But I just thought it was just like a way to spell David with a 4 instead of an A. But I wanted to read this. It says he'd been there 3 years at Copeland. So he got there in the 2nd grade. And it's kind of blurry, but I'll just read through it. But it says activities he did was soccer, gymnastics, and tumbling, and honor roll. When I grow up, I would like to be a robotics engineer. The most influential people in my life are my parents because they teach me to try my best and to put God first. Here in Copeland, I will miss my best, or leaving Copeland, I will miss my best friend, Ori and Youssef. I look forward to 6th grade, or I look forward to having a locker and a new teacher in 6th grade. My most memorable event was field day because it was awesome and fun. And I would like to thank my teachers for helping me learn new things every day. And then here he is. He was part of the safety patrol. So I thought it was interesting because we've been following kind of like his childhood and stuff and like what led to this. So I'm not quite sure exactly when he was pulled out of school, but I believe it was 6th or 7th grade or around then. So I don't know if this was like his last grade that he completed. If anyone in the chat knows when that was. And I think I have to let me, because it says no audio and I want to play this next video. Let me, oh, hey, DFJ is in the house. What's up? Hey, everyone. Hesky. Hey, hens. How's everyone? Okay, let me remove this and then re-add it back onto the stage to get the audio. We still got to fix why that audio goes out in the middle of the show. Okay, so can you guys see it now? Yeah, let me put myself down in mini mode. Okay, so let me just play this short clip. So this is David's childhood, the untold story. Just play
psychologist, but the fact that he had to steal notebooks just to keep writing tells you that the urge to create was extremely strong. And also, to some extent, that David really couldn't control his impulses as a kid, right? But clearly, writing felt urgent to him and compulsive almost. Like he
Okay, so sorry, I was supposed to pre-queue up this with the notebook stuff. So this is Blackie Speaks. I recommend you guys go watch it. It's 28 minutes, but on 2 times speed. You guys can watch it in a second because it's a really good deep dive on his childhood. But one of the things that was uncovered was that he would steal notebooks from his school when he was in school so that he was able to write. And that's how he started writing. Like, I guess it started off as like poetry and then eventually evolved into like songs and stuff. But that's what he's talking about right here. It's like it not only shows like he had no impulse control, but like why was he stealing notebooks? Were his parents just not supportive? Would they not give him paper? We know that I'm like this to me was so juicy because I'm like, did he not have access to paper or was it just specific notebooks? You know, like sometimes writers write in like little mini notepads. Because I know that his parents said that he couldn't listen to secular music, and they would go through his phone and stuff and his computer to make sure that he wasn't listening to any sex. So he talks about that too here, but um, so that's what he's talking about with the notebooks.
He constantly needed somewhere to put all the thoughts in his head, the characters he was building in his mind, ideas and observations building up inside his head. So by all accounts, David seemed like a kid with a very rich internal world, probably building stories and characters and ideas mostly by himself in his own mind. So he wasn't the loud kid. Definitely doesn't sound like he was super social either. He sat back, watched everybody else, studied people, and then went home and wrote about it. Sounds like he was very intense internally, very creatively obsessive, probably one of the curious types, highly observant socially even. I think a lot of times people like that do end up dealing with feelings of loneliness or have feelings of detachment internally. After all, he was spending most of his time observing the world instead of fully participating in it. Chapter
So he goes into his, private school and the relocation stuff in here. So I just embedded it here so you guys can go ahead and hear him speak on like how that all went down. You guys go support the video. You guys can watch it on the show pages, and it still counts towards Blackie's traffic, YouTube traffic, and everything. So you can watch it through the embed, and it'll still go towards his analytics. So yeah, go support him. He's definitely one of the creators that I've been following now for the David stuff, and he talks about like the notebooks and stuff, which I thought was really cool because Dave Idiots 11 days ago pulled up the Withered scrapbook. So this was his album was called Withered. I think it was supposed to be like the deluxe that was going to come out with this scrapbook thing as well. But somebody had the scrapbook, and so if you guys wanted to go into like what his thoughts were at the time, um, he really deep dives into this, and you can zoom in and like just read it. He's like, um, it says, I never listened to his instructions, which is a bad habit that I have. And I literally had to translate my advice into a song in order for it to get through to me. The chorus is only 2 sentences long, but it speaks volumes for me. Where did it go wrong with you? I don't belong with you. The question and the realization, both in the same chorus, is so meaningful because so much clarity can be found if we stop for a second and ask ourselves the questions we ask everyone else first. It almost seemed like he was like overly philosophical, where it was almost like showmanship. Like he was trying to be that. But he's like, this is the epitome of self-reflection and honestly self-loathing too. It's me explaining to myself why I don't belong with someone who's not good for me. So a lot of people thought that this was about Celeste because of the picture that was included. And so if you guys wanted to go ahead and read all of those, they're embedded here as well. So it's about 3 images. This one in cursive is a little more difficult, or like not cursive, but like the handwriting is a little bit more difficult to make out. But it says, here I go again asking more questions I already know. This song is a sister song to say it back in a way, simply me yearning to know what I am to someone. As I'm writing this, I realize that I might be the problem. I'm always longing to know how people perceive me. Am I annoying? Am I cool? Am I attractive? Am I short? Am I loved? Am I hated? So on and so forth. It's a prominent thought that passes through my head with almost every interaction I have. But in this song, you can see how truly passive it is that I'm saying it. If I'm not enough, let me know when you find what you're looking for. At that point in my life, writing this song after being through the ups and downs of love, I was honestly okay with just being a stepping stone in someone's journey to finding the person today that I might spend the rest of my life with. Even if it wasn't something, I felt like it was a very mature stand, and it starts to get harder to read. So I really can't make out the bottom part, but basically, a lot of people think that one was also about Celeste, and you see there's a body bag down here. It depends when the scrapbook was made versus but I think that he was always obsessed with body bags, uh, chopping up. Like these were all fantasies that he wrote about for characters, for his manga, and for things that he read in other mangas. So I feel like the visuals came before the actual event because he constantly fantasized about him. So when it actually happened, he was throwing back. I don't know if it was necessarily like it was foreshadowing, or if it like came after the fact, like if he on a live draw and then put it in here. I think it was like before the fact stuff that he was obsessed with. that's why he went and bought the body bags and didn't realize because any smart person would realize like, hey, it's on my Amazon digital. At least Koberger was, I mean, not really smart enough, but he used his family's Amazon account. But he got it under his own account, it seems like, under a different name. So it'll be interesting what comes up out of that. Which brings me to this law and crime video, which I thought was just incredibly done. So shout out again to the Dave Idiot sub. Like, you guys are awesome. You guys find like the coolest stuff in this case. So this is Jesse Weber on Law and Crime, which that's the kind of content that I kind of want to move towards. I love the lives and I love the interaction with you guys, but I'm really passionate about editing and sleuthing. And I love that Jesse Weber took his time to, how do I turn off notifications? My bad, y'all. Let me just log out of messages. Okay. Yeah, I like sleuthing. He took his time to like really sleuth out David's story, and he made like a really cool video. And even like that one about David's childhood, I thought was really well done. That's the kind of content I want to make, like on the cases, like deep dive style. So this was a deep dive on the prosecutor, Beth Silverman. We highlighted her under the star bar, which is mostly celebrity lawyers, but she got like a prosecutor's highlight on that page on Celebrity Dockets. If you guys go, there's a star bar with all the lawyers that are involved in all the cases, because she's supposed to be like, they call her the sniper. And so I wanted to play this because she's also been in a case that's very similar to the David case. So I'm going to play a little bit, but you guys should definitely go watch the whole thing. Let me go ahead and share this tab. And then I believe it's right.
Focusing on DNA evidence for a minute. So in the reportedly relied on and what was presented, body bag, laundry bags, convictions for murder, mayhem, and torture against, and a massive cleanup. Silverman, also in the libel case, there was evidence of luminol and a massive cleanup.
So trigger warning, because it does talk about like unaliving stuff, but this is her case that she had done in the past. So he's just talking about her experience.
Silverman actually argued that the killing, this is interesting, was based on a graphic novel that Libel had developed years before. She told the court, the defendant basically handed us a blueprint, a case of life imitating art. Sadism is the gratification, obviously, from the infliction of pain and suffering on another. And we know that in this case, the defendant obviously enjoyed it because he continued to do it for hours and hours. So this was a brutal case with a brutal crime scene and autopsy photos. And again, we are dealing with the same kind of thing in the Celeste case, given the allegations here. Something to think about, a little bit of a primer on Beth Silverman. We will follow what she does next in this case, but that's all we have for you right now. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please subscribe on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also check us out on NBC's Peacock as well. If you want to follow me, X, Instagram, my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next time.
So I really enjoy the sidebars and the deep dives. I love the editing, how they, are talking and like the pictures come in. So incredible show. If you guys follow David, that's another great place to get your David information, especially deep dives from. So I thought it was interesting that, the graphic novel stuff, especially that she says that, let's go back to that part. Let me pause it where he quotes her right here. The defendant basically handed us a blueprint. Could this be the opening statement of the David case? A case of life imitating art. And then she talks about sadism being the gratification from the infliction of pain and suffering on another. And we know that in this case, the defendant obviously enjoyed it. Is she going to try and say that David enjoyed it because it, fueled his music and his fantasies? So I do want to, it's the Blake libel trial. So I did want to kind of like go look into it and see like what exactly went down with that. But I thought it was interesting that here he was inspired by manga and making this character that he had created in his head. Remember, if you guys haven't watched, I believe it's episode 3 or episode 2, which one that we did where we went through all his personalities. I think it was last week's or 2 weeks ago's episode 3. How he had all the personalities. He had his social media persona. He had his manga persona. So I wonder if that's what they're going to use. So we'll have to keep up to date. The next update for that will probably be June 17th. So we'll be on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, you guys can check out the whole case page on Celebrity Dockets. Let me pull that up for you guys. I think it's already in there. Hold on a second. Share this tab. Oh no, I didn't put it. Usually I link the case page down here. So let me just show you guys the case page for David over on Celebrity Dockets. So this is the case page there. If you guys wanted to read the actual documents is here. Also, we have access to the portal. With the Superior Court portal, you have to type in the number. So there's the number. If you're a creator and you're watching and you wanted to go see what's the latest, that's the latest there. I haven't checked it to see if anything new paperwork has been filed or anything. But here you can see the parents' Texas appeal and what's going on with that, if they're still appealing that, because it's still active the last time I checked. And here's a preliminary brief right here. Also, here's an order where he wanted a haircut and all that stuff. So if you guys wanted to keep following the case, this is where you would, and we'll just keep a lookout for that. So, did I share the tab? Yeah, okay, good. Let me share this tab. Okay, so now to Blake, Lively versus Wayfarer, 47.1 watch. It was settled on May 4th, y'all remember, but the 47.1 motion is still pending. Liman did tell him that the briefing was closed. We cover that. He basically shut him down and was like, briefing is closed. We don't need nothing extra from Michael. So we have some sub commentary from It Ends With Lawsuits, which is my favorite sub for the Blake Lively case. And now that, stuff is not coming in as much, it's a great way to find your news there because they feature other creators and all that stuff. So that's where I go to get the latest, obviously docket updates as well for all the filings. So Little Girl's attorney's take on why California's 47.1 privilege may not fully apply to Blake. And we're going to go into Attorney Britt. The court disagreed with you. The Taylor Swift sideshow argument by Michael Gottlieb doesn't matter. So we're going to go through both of those. Pale Detective, I think, did one, and then Humble Network did the TLDR for the other one. So shout out to Humble Network. So Little Girl Attorney is saying that California's law 47.1 was created to protect people who speak publicly about abuse or harassment, even outside of the court or the media. Some examples she gives is someone standing in a public square saying I was SH'd. It could be protected under this law if they later get sued for defamation. Before this law, the protections that were covered were statements made in court filings or through journalist media. According to LGA, 47.1 was meant to fill the gap for ordinary public statements that were not officially protected before. So if someone wins under 47.1, they're able to claim legal fees, damages, even triple damages in some cases. But in Blake Lively's case, she points out that the judge already ruled that Lively's statements were protected, but under other legal protections, litigation and fair reporting. So the judge specifically did not rule that the statements were protected under 47.1. And if you guys watch the video, you guys will show, I believe she shows the exact portion of where the judge rules that. It's actually in writing in one of his rulings that he did not take into account or rule on the 47.1. Because of that, Little Girl Attorney thinks Blake might not qualify for the extra benefits that are tied to 47.1. Her main takeaway is that 47.1 was intended for regularly people speaking out on their own, not statements that were connected to lawsuits or media coverage like the New York Times. Overall, she sounds analytical but pretty skeptical that 47.1 truly applies to Lively's situation. And then they added to add this. On the fee shifting part, Little Girl Attorney focused heavily on the fact that the judge did not actually rule Blake Lively's statements were protected. Oh, and here's the actual wording. The court has not ruled on whether Lively's statements were privileged under California 47.1. According to LGA, that's the line that's extremely important because the fee-shifting provisions, the attorney fees, costs, and potential enhanced damages are tied specifically to prevailing under 47.1. Her point was basically, yes, Blake's claims against her were dismissed, but were they dismissed under other privileges like litigation and fair reporting? The judge did not say Blake prevails because her statements are protected under 47.1. So because he avoided making that finding, LGA thinks that the court will later say that Blake was not the prevailing defendant under 47.1 specifically. So remember, that's one of the things that they have to, there was a list of like 3 things that we went over. And one of them is that they have to be the prevailing defendant. She also noted the judge denied the motion for fees without prejudice, meaning the request can potentially be renewed later, which she did renew those fees, which is where we're at right now. So, and so let's go ahead and look at the next one, which is commit to the Britt. So thank you, Pale Detective. So Britt calls out Michael Gottlieb's press tour claims. She criticizes Blake Lively's attorney for publicly framing the settlement as a victory, despite not litigating the claims to trial. She mocks his statement, minimizing the relevance of Taylor Swift in the case, and argues the alleged attempt to serve a subpoena at Travis Kelce's property became a distraction narrative used to shift media attention away from the underlying claims. Because if y'all remember when Michael Gottlieb did that with Matt Bellany, the town interview, he made a point of being like, oh yeah, and by the way, it was the Wayfarer parties that, you know, tried to serve him and blah, blah, like trying to make the Wayfarer parties look creepier in some sense, like, oh, they were stalking Taylor, when it was literally just the server. And they had no control over who was sent to go process her. They act independently from clients themselves. She points out the court order denying Blake Lively's request for a protective order related to Taylor Swift communications, as well as the judge noting that Lively herself identified Swift as someone with potential knowledge. She emphasized that Swift was allegedly also included on witness disclosures. So she's like, if anybody brought Swift into it, it was Blake. And this is the part that I really felt like I wanted to include in the show, because she explains her frustration stems partly from being a lawyer and believing that public trust in attorneys is already very low. And I think that one of the biggest stories that's come out of the Blake Lively stuff is how far are the lawyers willing to go? And we kind of see it in the, I'm not covering this because obviously DeMore is not a celebrity, and, you know, there's touchy with it being Our Nation or whatever included. But the DeMore Hadley case that we covered before, it was interesting to see what some of Desiree's lawyers were willing to do. And they just, I think a couple days ago, they're asking for sanctions against them because of what, like, some of the stuff that they went through as far as doing towards DeMore. So I think it's just a good conversation to have about these lawyers and how, you know, sometimes they push the boundaries for their clients, whether that's ethical or not. It says they have a responsibility to accurately describe court proceedings and judicial rulings. So, like, for him to call it a victory, why, like, she doesn't feel that that's, you know, representative of what actually happened. Misrepresenting court orders to large audiences damages public understanding of how the legal system works. She frames the issue as bigger than celebrity drama, and it reflects broader concerns about honesty, transparency, and public confidence in the courts. And that's why I don't like it when we don't get to actually see it. Because imagine if Depp versus Heard was just whatever MSM was writing. I remember watching Depp versus Heard, and then I would see the MSM headline, and it would be like, Amber Heard was great on the stand. And I'm like, no, she wasn't. Like, she got eaten up by Camille. Like, what do you mean she did great on the stand? So they would twist a bunch of stuff. So unless you watched it with your very own eyes, that's why I wish that we had more access to the actual court filings, or at the very least, like with the technology today, that we'd have access to the transcripts more quicker. But yeah, this is just an interesting conversation that I thought was cool to bring up as far as the lawyering and all that. And Kevin Fritz was actually on LGA and Nags. They got to interview him. So that was 2 weeks ago. I know most of y'all have already watched it, but if you haven't, go over to LGA or Nags channel. And Galf says something cool here. Pushing the boundary, yes, do that for your client, but outright dance and skip over them into illegal activities like Minat and Ezra, no. Yeah. So, yeah, that's interesting that's an interesting point. So let's go back here. So the receipts keep coming. This was like the biggest thing was Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively were trying to get a license to put 25 geothermal wells into their property. Did they do it without permission? And did they actually violate historical land in order to create this massive compound in New York? So Blake Lively is a liar on X. They used to be Asshole Media, our very own Jessie. She got all of her accounts taken down. I mean, she was staying on Blake Lively's necks even after this 47.1, which why I think that Michael should have just let it be a settlement. And I took it as a directive. I know a lot of people didn't take it as a directive, but where it said, like, I hope that the online discourse can be peaceful, I took it as a directive, like, coming straight from Baldoni and team saying, like, yo, y'all, like, just cool it. We've settled it. You know, him being Baha'i and everything. I thought, like, okay, I'm just going to cool it. But then they decided to claim victory, lie, you know, still try to tarnish Justin and Jamie's name by saying that they now have liabilities and 47.1 and the Me Too stuff. So there was a lot of people and content creators who just, you know, it reignited that fire. It was going out and they just decided, like, no, we're still going to stay on her neck. So PR wise, I feel like it was stupid to do that. They should have just let it go. And again, it's the same lesson. That's why I kept saying it's like deja vu. Like, how are we here again? Because if you would have just let it go the first time when people were talking bad about you, if you know how the 24/7 news cycle works, just like most PR people do, you'll know that eventually they'll stop talking about it. Something new will come up. And I'm sure it'll still be brought up whenever your name comes up, but it's not going to be something that's like on the daily. So, um, yeah, this was an article that was, you know, pretty big this last week, which was that Blake Lively owes $2 million to unpaid workers that were working on her compound. And it's like, it's so crazy to me because she talks about workplace safety and how important to keep the workplace. And it's like, but then you didn't pay your workers. So you're suing for, it's the workplace lawsuit, so to speak, what was left of it anyways, too. It was also contract issues and stuff. And here you are breaking a contract, owing people money, not being, not creating a workplace where you actually get paid. Like, to me, that was just super ironic and crazy. So Blake Lively's a liar. Jessie, she took it further because she's like, wait a second. Did they ever get permission? Did they know that this is historical land here? Because she dug up the actual filings of the, what is it, like a town square meeting where she was asking like, hey, can we build here? Blah, blah, blah. She was talking about what it would be for. Because apparently in that town, like some of the buildings are historical and they won't allow you to like mess with them or whatever. So yeah, go check out Blake Lively's a liar over on X and all her deep dives. She goes pretty deep. And then obviously Daily Mail had the article on, you know, what the humiliating new question she and Ryan Reynolds must now face is the $2 million in debt against these workers that basically are filing what's called, I forget what it's called. It's like some kind of lien. Basically, they can't do anything on the property or sell the property or anything. Because that lien is still like you have to pay that out before you can do anything with the property. So yeah, that was just crazy that here she was trying to go on this victory tour and then they uncovered this. And so she had to do damage control, of course. And where would she go do damage control? At the Fendi store. This was hours after that broke. She went and made an appearance at the Fendi store. It says, at this point, I feel, and this is Hans, who we feature here as well, fashionist era. I feature a lot of hers, especially on Latest News. At this point, it feels like celebrities and friends connected to Blake are just going to have their value plummet. And I honestly didn't even go watch Devil Wears Prada because it was Emily Blunt and Stanley adjacent. And I still continue to be like, oh, those are Blake's friends or whatever. I mean, I make exception. I have made exception for Drake because before I'm like, nah, he's Michael Gottlieb's other client. But the music just spoke for itself. And we'll probably, I'll show you guys the latest on that. I didn't have a card for the Drake versus UMG, but it is, it's getting spicy because his album broke records. And he's the rapper that has the most #1 albums. So I did make an exception for that. It was a great 3 albums that he dropped. Sucks that he's Michael Gottlieb's client. I still don't agree that, you know, it should have been a whole lawsuit against UMG and all that stuff, but incredibly talented artist for sure. But she's basically saying that anyone who's attached to her, like, this is really tone deaf, right? Because at one point she's saying in the Met Gala that she's shy, yet she's going to a Fendi photo op. And there was a ton of posts of whether, you know, she had photoshopped some pictures because they didn't feature her on the Fendi page with everybody else that they took pictures of, like out in the street with the Fendi purses. But then later Blake showed up after someone pointed it out and it looked like she had just been photoshopped onto the sidewalk. So that was interesting as well. But I'm going to just go ahead and play her doing photo op. But she's shy, though. That's what a lot of people are pointing out. She had a big I don't know if these people were like paid fans or real fans or what. Like, we don't know, right? We don't know if this is real or not. She keeps pointing out like the internet's not real, da da da. Well, if you start thinking like that, like what else is not real? Are these paid people that like decided to go and some of these might be influencers, but were they like, you need to approach Blake? Or are they real, authentic, organic fans? So yeah, so these are my takes on 47.1 PR and the recent contractor news. I made 2 edits. Well, this is an edit and this is just like a funny little meme. I can't play them because of copyright, but I used both Drake songs from the new album. One of them is about how he has a song basically called Don't Worry, and it's about how instead of like cursing someone or wanting revenge on someone, he's like, I just want to know what it's like. I just want you to know what it's like not to be able to pay a phone bill or something like that. And so I had put it with the contractor claim stuff. And then this is a song about, he says, how many more interviews y'all going to do before y'all get me to chill, which I thought was interesting because Michael Gottlieb was going on the Victory Tour. So y'all check those out over on, they're really cool when you pair them up to the music. They're on TikTok or you can watch them here. They're fully embedded in the show notes. It's just about, it says, this was a group effort to take you down and you're still standard. You should be standing. You should be flattered. And then it's got the picture of them still standing. But so that's the final take on the Blake Lively stuff. We're about to dive into the docket rundown, which we're going to cover a bunch of cases, some new ones that you guys don't know. But for more on the Blake Lively case, docketupdates.com. Obviously, a lot of you guys who are already familiar with the Blake case know where to go. But for those who don't, it's docketupdates.com, and you guys can just link it here. And then here's the latest news. She just added something a couple days ago. TikTok just shares opinion about plantation couple contractors shouldn't be shocked to find out you're working on their land for free. So it was WCB who broke the story and about the liens on them. And so I guess she linked that. And yeah, I agree. Like somebody made that connection. Like this is the people who got married. It's just a bad look because the plantation stuff had also already died down. Now you have Jesse from Asshole Media bringing up the fact that, was it historical land that they're destroying? And then the slavery aspect of unpaid labor. It doesn't look good for her. And yeah, she shouldn't have tried to come after. I don't know. Would creators have uncovered this lien? Were they going to leave her alone? Did creators take that as a directive, or were they still going to keep going? I don't know, but I do know that from the creators that I did talk to, they did get riled up and were like, we're still staying on Blake's neck. Like, how dare her still try and paint Jamie and Baldoni as these like predators. She also has the Jed Wallace stuff that she's following. I haven't included that on Celebrity Dockets yet. I'm figuring out how to add it, but that's why I'm just linking docket updates because she's kind of like the go-to. I might add the Jones case under industry cases because that does involve PR. But I'll make sure that you guys keep going over to docket updates and supporting them. They also have a little coffee button down here where you can support it because this is the biggest archive for the Blake versus Wayfarer case and the pending cases that are still left. You guys understand that we still have Wayfarer and New York Times as well. That's still, it seems like they wanted to like say that they weren't to be included anymore because of the settlement. So I don't know whatever happened with that. Someone in the chat can tell me, like, did they rule on that New York Times is also included in the settlement, or is that one still going? Because I know that the last thing I heard, they had inputted something saying like, oh, well, we're out of it too, to the courts. So that's that. Let's go back to the episode page. Oh, we have Pratt still before we get to the docket rundown. Sorry, y'all. So Pratt's campaign and his fire suit. So this is interesting because he's suing the city of LA. He's about to become the mayor of LA. And it reminded me of Aaron Spencer with the criminal trial where he's like, on trial for a criminal, unaliving a predator, which is so crazy. Someone that was kidnapping his daughter. He didn't wait for the police to get there. They got into a scuffle, whatever, and he unalived him. And so he's now currently, Aaron Spencer is not only is he running for sheriff of the town, but he's also on trial for this unaliving of a predator. So it reminded me of that kind of, the status conference was May 20th at the Spring Street Courthouse, but I don't know what came out of that. Nothing in the headlines. So we'll have to just keep an eye on this. But there was some funny stuff that happened with Spencer Pratt where Harvey Levin on TMZ basically told him that, here you are on your commercial or your, what is it, mayoral campaign ad, saying that you live in this Airstream on your, burnt lot. But we just found out and uncovered that you live in Bel Air and the Hotel Bel Air, and you've been staying there. So they try to like make it seem like he was lying and he was part of the 1% too. But he was like, dude, my house burned down. I don't live anywhere. And if you watch the campaign ad, he never actually said he lived in the Airstream. He just said, this is where I live, like basically showing the Airstream in the back. I never thought that he lived in the Airstream because he was doing political interviews with like CBS and all these other channels. And he was saying how hard it was to even get working water and electricity to the Airstream and how it had taken weeks and weeks and how, a couple of days before that interview, he had barely gotten the water on. So it's like, well, how could he live there if there was no water or no electricity? So I think Harvey Levin was just trying to stir up the pot. But this is a really cool video. I don't know if I'll get copyrighted, so I'm not going to play it, but you guys can play it from the show notes. He did it to the Fresh Prince of Bel Air. This is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down. It reminded me of when I started the Wayfarer timeline. I also used Fresh Prince. I was like, this is the story all about how Baldoni's life got flipped, turned upside down. And then I was like the movie Takeover or something like, I think I did like one more line and applied it to Wayfarer and Baldoni's situation. But yeah, so that was a little fun reverse Uno that he did. And it was really good PR because then everybody was talking about the video and in the headlines, with Bel Air. I would love for Abe to cover the PR for the Spencer, but I know she doesn't do politics stuff after the Charlie Kirk stuff. But so anyways, this is from Lara Logan. I wanted to play this where he says he's going to win the lawsuit and he's going to fix LA, which I thought was really cool.
I'm going to win the lawsuit against Gavin Newsom's state park. And with that money, if I'm the mayor of Los Angeles, I will rebuild. If Karen Bass gets reelected or Nithya gets elected, I will be done with trying to live in LA, and I'll take that money from the Newsom State Park and the LADWP, and I'll go find somewhere that my kids will not have to see naked zombies, and I can have the last American dream somewhere. But I will not rebuild if these people are in charge, because what would I be putting money into? It would
the reservoir's empty right now. I was literally just up on the hill, and we're just flying the drone over the reservoir, and it's bone dry.
Here's the best part. You can go up my street. This is the reservoir that they also drained when they were fixing the other one. They said, let's drain this one. So there's actually two reservoirs that were drained, the Palisades Reservoir and the Santa Ynez. So I had one drained 6 months before on my street. But here's the best part. You go back, I don't know if it's 1960 or 1970s. You look at the LA Times cover, and it shows them building the Santa Ynez Reservoir. And the engineer says this was built for wildfire protection for the community. This new idea that this covers on it to make it drinking water. No one was drinking that water. It has cisterns for helicopters. That's why it was built, for the helicopters to come and take the water. So right now it's empty because they want $20 million, LADWP, all the ratepayers in Los Angeles, to build a new cover. So the cover that they wouldn't repair initially while it was empty was 140 grand. So that now they've decided to put a new cover. It's $20 million. My point is, these people are diabolical. I met with the community leaders in Boyle Heights. Their community is fighting. They want a roundabout, and the community doesn't want this roundabout. $108 million for a roundabout. And then they say they don't have money to clean the streets. They don't have money for electricity. But you have $108 million for a roundabout?
Dad, and they always want more money. And then when you start looking into fraud, they get angry at the person who's looking into fraud. I mean, it is at a saturation point. It's gone beyond what satire would even be. They're just batshit crazy at this point. And at this point, they need to be removed.
And this is the Adam Carolla show. If you guys want to watch the full thing, you guys can go over to his YouTube and watch the full interview, which was really, really good. She even says pretty damn good up here. But he points out like the streets not being clean, and part of his campaign, which I thought he's running such a great campaign, in my opinion, because he's using stuff like, most people pay thousands for billboards. He obviously doesn't have the money for all this stuff. Obviously, he's got his website where you can, help the mayoral campaign, but he's not sitting there wasting your money on, giant billboards or anything. He's using the money. He went out and bought water pressure machines and then got a stencil that says Spencer Pratt, and then pressure washed the streets with his stencil, Spencer Pratt for mayor, to show how clean the streets could look. And when you see like all the dirt and grime, and then you see his logo, like how easily it would be to just go out and buy a couple of water pressure machines and get people to clean up the streets. And he talks about spending all this money on these roundabouts, but you can't clean the streets. So I know there was a creator that was basically saying like he has no ideas. I mean, this was a creator that I have followed and everything. And I was just like, it was really disappointing to hear her take on Spencer, because I'm like, what do you mean he doesn't have ideas? He's got a whole website with his ideas. They're like, he doesn't care about like how to fix the homeless problem. Like, but yes, he does. He's talking about putting up these separate structures, not using existing structures where you're kicking people out of where they're at in order to house homeless. And he was saying, it'll take like 3 days to put him up. And I remember the interviewer was like, so how long? Like 90 days? Like, this isn't actually real. Like, you couldn't. He's like, no, I met with so-and-so. And I remember Harvey Levin too tried to fact check him about like someone who he was going to bring onto his team, and was like, oh, I went to go check to make sure that he wasn't lying or whatever. And I'm like, why is Spencer so scrutinized? Maybe because, he was a reality TV star or whatever, but everything he said so far has checked out. So he went and met with people who said that, yeah, they were able to get these structures up in 3 days. And I mean, he definitely has plans. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, he fired back against Karen Bass, because her and Ramen are, I don't even know how to pronounce her name, if it's Ramen. I pronounce it like ramen. I don't know. But they've been going hard on him and, trying to say that he's MAGA and all this other stuff. So he clapped back when someone says, oh, please, you got into this to be famous. He says, I got in this race because Karen Bass let my entire town burn down while drinking in Ghana. Because as y'all know, she was in Ghana and no one could get a hold of her. And when they did, it was just like a shit show. So I included that because I thought it was interesting that he's actually just running because he lost his home and he's passionate. I'm like, who could be more passionate, when I literally saw him every day, like not even sleep, just plugging Heidi's music so that they could, have money, and actually supported her album and everything, because his efforts for them to like rebuild, he didn't just be like, oh shoot, I lost my house, let me be a victim, let me go file these, whatever forms. He also got screwed over on the insurance part, and I think Legal Bites is covering the insurance portion of all this. No, it's not Legal Bites. Backtrack on that. It's Katie Pope over on TikTok. If you guys want to know about the whole insurance fire stuff that happened during the fires, it's really interesting. She did like 2 or 3 videos on it, and why Spencer Pratt had barely gotten his money and all that, which I thought was interesting. So if Pratt wins, he'd be kind of suing himself. If Pratt wins the mayoral race, he'd be suing the government that he leads, effectively suing himself. That's the same structural conflict that Trump had when he sued the IRS, a suit settled this week with the nearly $1.8 billion fund that many consider corrupt self-dealing. And that's another, I don't get into the whole like national politics or anything, but Courthouse News did an article where they compared it to that. But his attorney, Peter McNulty, says Pratt could handle it differently. McNulty, who knows Spencer since his Crossroads private school days, says the Pratts are absolutely ethical, and that Spencer would need something like a Chinese wall, keeping mayoral duties fully independent of the litigation, and would have to recuse himself from certain decisions related to the lawsuit. So that was just like a summary of it, but let me just go give you guys the direct quote. So he says, I've known Spencer Pratt since he was in Crossroads, McNulty said, referring to the expensive private school that Pratt attended. He and his wife, Heidi, are absolutely ethical. They recognize if Spencer becomes mayor, he has to put that first, and I think he will. The lawyer went on, perhaps speculating a bit. He'd have to almost have a Chinese wall set up, so anything he would be doing in the mayor's office would have to be independent of any of the litigation going on behalf of himself. He would also, McNulty said, have to recuse himself from certain decision-making around the lawsuit. Pratt is just one of some of 5,000 Palisades residents suing LA, California, and the Department of Water and Power, as well as other entities over their role in the devastating wildfire last year that burned down their homes and wiped away most of the neighborhood. Although Pratt has publicly blamed Bass for allowing his home to burn down, in court documents, he's actually blaming the Department of Water and Power, a utility that's controlled by mayoral appointees. A nearby reservoir had been empty, and that's what we heard in the Adam interview, awaiting repairs to its cover. Pratt and others say that the empty reservoir contributed to low water pressure, which inhibited firefighters' ability to combat the Palisades blaze. The Palisades fire was an inescapable and unavoidable consequence of the water supply system servicing areas in and around Pacific Palisades as it was planned and constructed. The system failed. And so then he went on to say, this is the Adam Carolla, I'm going to win the lawsuit. And with that money, if I'm the mayor of LA, I will rebuild. So it's either he wins on June 2nd and gets on that ballot and continues to fight, through the November election, or he loses and he moves out of LA and says, you know what, it's not worth fixing. So we'll have to keep you guys updated on that. We do have a case page for it. You can read the full docket here. Let me go to that. So it's Pratt and Montage versus the city of Los Angeles. There's other people. Here's the case number, the portal. And then I think we have the original complaint PDF if you guys wanted to read it. And if you guys live in LA and want to go see what he's all about, I did link mayorpratt.com down here. We do not endorse any candidates or anything like that. But I mean, me personally, as CJ, not Celebrity Dockets, I do think that he would be a great asset to the city of LA. Just seeing his work ethic when it came to when he was like not lazy after the fires. He literally just got into the grind of, continuing to record it. And I believe TikTok actually took him out of the influencer program in the middle of it. So he had to fight hard against TikTok to get him back into not the influencer program, but what is it? The content creator program, like where he's monetized. And he made a really good point about how everyone's like, he's doing it for fame. He just did an interview where he says like all of his social media has to be demonetized. So he's like, why would I run for mayor and not make money? Like I can't even plug my wife's music, which is what's feeding us right now, is her music and her pop career. And I can't even plug that. He's like, everyone's saying that, oh, I'm just trying to promote my book. He's like, I can't even plug my book because it's unethical. Because he right now saying that he has proof that that Ramen is doing some unethical stuff in her campaign and that it's all going to come out. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. Sorry, it literally just took me from this page. So let's scroll back down to where we were at. I believe we're now at Docket Rundown. I'm going to take a look at the comments real quick and see what y'all are saying. So we're going to do the full Docket Rundown. Christina points this out. What about Google and changing the fire pictures back to the houses before the fires, but then they got caught and now they changed them back and said it was a technical error. Yeah, he literally put that out on the map too, where he's like, whenever you would go Google some of these street addresses, it would show that originally it would show that they were burned by the fire, but then all of a sudden there was a glitch and they thought that it was due to the, mayoral race, and Pratt pointed it out, and then they switched them back to the burnt pictures because then it was like old pictures from before it was burned. So Tiffany's talking about something called, I've been reading Spencer's book. I'm about halfway through and it's good. Ooh, give us the tea. She says, it's called Spencer Pratt, The Guy You Love to Hate. It talks about how the show The Hills made him into the villain, but nothing which was true. It's good. And I love how much he loves his wife. I really love hearing that because the whole villain arc, he actually like was one of the first like producers that like was able to like shape his own character. Like he did it purposely. And I remember the last episode of The Hills, because I watched The Hills, last episode where it goes into like a lot and it basically makes you question, like it's kind of like an Inception thing. Like, was the show real? Was it not real? And obviously now we know through like Chris Humphries, Kim K's ex-husband, that a lot of it is pre-scripted or re-recorded. We know from the Laguna Beach podcast, Kristen Cavallari and all them, how, sometimes it would actually happen, but the cameras didn't capture it or capture it in the way they wanted to. So they would have to like redo the conversation. Reality TV, it's like nothing sacred. But it is interesting and fun to watch. Let me see what else we've been saying. What else are we saying? Oh, she fell during the stage. Yeah, I remember seeing that at Heidi's. Who's getting these contracts? Are they related friends? Is there kickbacks for granting those funds? He's saying that a lot of them are related and are their friends, and he's exposing all of it. So we'll see what else comes out of it. And if there's any legal drama, we'll be following it because I'm sure stuff will be filed by him. A technical error that only happened in the city of LA. Yeah, all of a sudden Google. Streaming says, I love how he loves his wife too. He's just like super relatable. I know Donna from Daily Dose of Donna, she has endorsed him, and so has Zach Peters. I know you guys follow them. He has also endorsed Spencer. They both live in LA, and Zach even went a couple days where he was filming him walking his dog and being like, "These are the realities. Like, don't let him tell you that it's not the realities. This is me just walking my dog, and someone's screaming at me that I should burn and all this other stuff." So yeah, I'm glad that he's exposing like the realities of LA, because I mean, it's on the news and stuff, but people don't really pay attention. And because he is a reality star, people who do follow like celebrities and stuff are now, he has a microscope on LA. So good for him for doing that. So let's get into the rest of the tea. We have a couple new cases, some old ones that I've updated. So this is Hartbeat versus Eddings in Guam. Kevin Hart's company sued two Black podcast producers, trade secret and breach of contract claims. The court has already trimmed part of the injunction as vague and overly broad. Defendants are now fighting the restraining order. Plus, Essence published a piece on the lawsuit and then quietly retracted it after culture reporter at Deasia Page called out its PR-friendly framing. So this was really interesting because I remember seeing the Essence piece first, and I was like, "Oh, I need to add this to the docket." And then when I went, the article was not, because I usually like save it in my notes and stuff for like later, and it said like 404 not found, and I was like, "That's interesting." Then later when I was on X, it came up that apparently it had been deleted. So D. Dot says, "I received confirmation that Essence terminated the writer who published this story, in case anyone was wondering. Essence seems to have deleted the entire article because it was very PR driven towards Kevin, I guess, and against these podcast producers." They basically said the lawsuit consists of them saying that, or Kevin Hart is saying that they learned everything they could and then like took all the trade secrets for the podcast and started their own podcast. Because this is Heartline, his, I guess, podcast company. But they're like, "We were podcasting before that, and we did this." They basically like flex their resume before ever even starting at Heartline. And we're like, "You don't own podcasting, like what the heck?" Essence ran a piece on the Hartbeat firings lawsuit that opened with this unusual disclaimer: "No matter what your feelings about Kevin Hart, his list of accomplishments are to be admired and respected." Culture reporter Deasia Page called the framing out as PR friendly on social media. The article was then quietly removed from Essence sites after that. The Streisand effect, because it had already been circulated. Then TMZ picked it up and got the underlying lawsuit story on May 19th. Eric Eddings, one of the fired producers, posted that his business, livelihood and reputation is thought to be of less important than the hits they might be able to get from him directly later. So let's open up the Hartbeat page. Hartbeat versus Eddings and Guam. This is the Hartbeat logo. There's Kevin Hart. So his company, Hartbeat Productions, sued two former Black podcast producers, Eric Eddings and Leslie Guam, in February 2026, days after firing them on January 30th. The complaint claims that they walked out with confidential trade secrets and a $2 million investor pitch deck. The defendants say that this is a poorly veiled attempt to prevent them from starting over. And the court has already agreed with them, saying that it's overly broad. So if you guys wanted to read that, we do have the, oh no, we don't have that one yet. I don't think I've uploaded the full case yet, because this is one that I just added. But here's all the news on it, the coverage and the sources from there. But we don't have the actual filing yet. I think I was going to link it from Document Things, who did get it. But we do have the case number and the court portal. So that'll be one that I'll have to update for the actual PDF. But yeah, they're basically saying that they got let go. And then when they try to like rebuild with a new podcast, he's saying that it's, and look, they said, "We've built this before. Now we're building it for ourselves." They're like, "We've been involved in podcasting and doing all this stuff." Like the pitch deck was put together from our knowledge of past jobs. So it's interesting. They say no evidence exists of misappropriation, that the pitch deck contained only standard industry information for podcasting, that they never solicited investors or developed competing shows concepts while employed by him, and that Hartbeat's lawsuit has effectively prevented them from launching their business. So it's kind of shitty if this is true, that he's just like, I don't know, either being vengeful or what. Because like, not only did they get fired and so they don't have a job, but now you're preventing them. And the way they were trying to frame it as like, no matter how you feel about him, he's accomplished a lot. I liked him as a comedian, but I don't know. I'm gonna wait to read it, but I feel like this is kind of like and I should do like similar cases. I feel like it's the one that DFJ discovered with James Cameron too, where it's like she's saying, "Oh, he used my likeness." Da da da. I feel like it's gonna be a nothing burger, but we'll see. So let's continue. Shakira, I don't have a case file for this, but we did cover it on Celebrity Docket. So I just wanted to circle back her Spain tax fraud. She came out not guilty, basically acquitted. Spain's national court acquits Shakira of 2011 tax fraud after an 8-year fight. Authorities proved only 163 days in the country, and it was short of the 183 days that she needed to establish residency. So they're going to reimburse 64 million in fines that has already been paid. And the tax agency says they'll appeal the ruling to the Supreme Court, but it doesn't affect her other plea deal that she had for the other tax years. So we covered this a while back on Celebrity before when we were just objection Celebrity Court Chatter. But it was so funny because she put an Instagram post where it was like, the Rihanna "Bitch Better Have My Money" to that song. And so I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I only included that. We don't have a case docket, but good for Shakira. She gets her money back. This also doesn't have a docket, but I thought it was interesting to go over. So I didn't even know that Justin Timberlake and Tiger Woods Sports Bar was in a lawsuit, their Manhattan sports bar. And it was something about tip theft. It's 2 bartenders claim that they weren't receiving all their tips and were shorted on overtime pay. The settlement agreement was reached quickly after mediation. And they're going to close the case within 30 days. The bar opened in 2023 and was inspired by Timberlake and Woods' shared interests. They also have a location in Scotland. Both men were dealing with other legal issues. Obviously, Timberlake with his DWI arrest, which is, kind of in the past now, but people still talk about it with what is the quote where he's like, "It's not going to affect the tour." Everybody still quotes that. And then Woods with his DUI stuff, which I think we're going to get into. And what has happened with that case, because they did have a hearing and there's been some new updates on that. But I didn't even know they were in a lawsuit, but it's interesting that it got settled. They didn't want no smoke with that or anything to tarnish their names any further. So they settled with these bartenders for their tips and overtime pay. So good for them for getting paid. So this was my "Bitch Better Have My Money" segment. And then we have the Davis Williams Rodriguez versus Lizzo. I updated this case page. We did cover it when it was objection Celebrity Court Chatter. It's 3 former backup dancers versus Lizzo and Big Girl Big Touring and Shirlene Quigley, who was, I guess, their point person. But what came up recently in this case is that on May 4th, she did an interview because her album's coming out on CBS Morning where she says that she will not be settling the case. So here's the full case page here. Here's the complaint, so you guys can go read the full complaint. And then the LA Superior Court portal with a number. If you guys wanted to go see what's the latest on there, you just input the number after the link. So they're basically saying the SH is out now. Because when we first reported it, it was talking about how she had taken them to a club and was making them touch boobs and all kinds of stuff. But that part of it has been dismissed, I guess. The only thing that remains, it says specific allegations, including being pressured to attend nude performances and to touch nude performers, and religious badgering by Quigley and allegations of weight shaming targeted at Davis. Those, I think, were dismissed by the trial judge in December. The fat shaming and all that stuff. So what remains still is I think it's the assault, the false imprisonment. I think it's these 3. So only the weight discrimination. So I misspoke. Sorry. Only the weight discrimination was dismissed. So all the ones are still there. The SH is still there, the religious harassment and the disability, as well as the assault. So yeah, so only the weight ones has been dismissed. And so the why it matters is because the same person preaching empowerment now was, harassing others. So it's kind of like Blake Lively, you don't practice what you preach. But this is her statement. "I'm fighting the case because I know that it's not true. The truth is less salacious in the headlines. Settling would be an easy out." So trial is expected this year, later on. I believe it towards the end of the year. So she asserts her First Amendment defense on the appeal for the weight discrimination and all that. She's appealing that. So she's basically saying that that she has a First Amendment right to speak and she didn't do anything wrong. So anyways, yeah, that's the lawsuit. Here's the dancers right here. And she's been struggling with her album, which is another thing that I was like, I wanted Abe to cover it because I love her PR stuff. Like I wish that I had like a chat GPT, but it's like Abe. It's like I could just, it's like all of her PR stuff where I could just, Ashley Brianna Eve, I could just ask because I'm like, her with her losing the weight and stuff, and she was like, and I feel like that's a lot with like Jonah Hill too, when he got thin too. A lot of people liked the Rebel Wilson. A lot of people liked them when they had weight on them and like they just felt more relatable, I guess. And then when they got thinner, they didn't. So I don't know if that's why her album is struggling, but she's also claiming that her label isn't helping her promote the album. So it's got like tinges of like UMG versus Drake there too, of like how these labels just kind of abandon their artists or don't put as much money into them. But I wonder if it's because she has legal woes and they're just like, oh, it's not worth it for us to put money into it. But I have some of the tweets under latest that's people have been talking about her where she spoke out against her label. She actually went out and put up her own posters for herself, saying if the label won't market me, I will. So we'll see how her album does. I think it drops June 2nd too. So she's currently has an album and a lawsuit. So we'll follow up on that. And again, it took me directly to from this page, so I got to scroll back down. Oh, have I not been showing anything on the page? Wow. Okay, hold on. Y'all, my bad. I didn't realize that none of this was being shown on the page. Oh, well. I should have checked. Y'all were still stuck on Docket Rundown. Okay. So let me just go. Oh, but you guys did see the video, right? You guys did see the video? Where did I get y'all stuck again? Was it under the Kevin Hart stuff? So here's the Kevin Hart stuff. And then the Kevin Hart case page. There's the Shakira stuff. And then Davis versus okay. So here's the next one. This is a new one I just added. Dua Lipa versus Samsung. So they used a photo that was taken at Austin City Limits in 2024 to sell on the front packaging of their UHD TVs, Samsung. So she's basically suing them for copyright plus California right of publicity and trademark. Samsung blames an unnamed content partner that they got the image from. But people were going after her on X. It says $15 million because your face is on a TV box in the back of Best Buy. Celebrity lawsuits are next level. And then this person says, if I ever become a celebrity, I'll let people use my photos freely for a while. And then I'll suddenly start filing lawsuits for compensation and permission. So here's the picture on the back of the box. So she's basically suing him, saying that it made it seem like she was endorsing it. Like, if you saw this, would you guys think in the chat, would you guys think that she was endorsing Sony TV or Samsung TV? Or would you just think it's like, oh, showing something that's on the TV? Because that's what I would think. Oh, you guys are talking about the Kevin Hart stuff. But yeah, let me know in the chat what you guys think. If this is actually, like, if you were to buy a Samsung TV and see her, do you think that Dua Lipa is actually endorsing Samsung and is like promoting it, like telling you buy it because I'm on the box? Or do you, because look, it's got ABC News Live, they're not suing. It's got Fox Sports, it's got First 48. First 48 is not suing. That's what I would say. And this is actually Excite Hits. This is like a streaming for music. So they're not suing. I don't know. I think that this one's going to be a nothing burger too. I feel like she's just trying to get promotions, or I don't know what it is, but I do have the full case page on that one too. Let me see if I can pull that up. So here's the full case page, and here's the full complaint if you guys wanted to go read it. We do have the full complaint on that. And yeah, so here's Samsung's response. The company has publicly responded by blaming an unnamed content partner who Samsung says gave explicit assurance that proper permission had been secured before the image was used. Samsung is itself a victim of misrepresentation by a third-party licensor. Whether that licensor is named as a co-defendant or third-party defendant going forward is one of the things that we will be watching. So here's some of the coverage and stuff as well. And related cases, we did put Kilcher versus Cameron, which is the case that DFJ uncovered, which is against James Cameron for use of likeness of a face. So I feel like it's almost a nothing burger for this one as well, but we did include it if you guys wanted to go read it. So let me go back to the next one. Okay, so now we've done Lua. Okay, so we had Kardashian versus Ray J, which we've been following. So there was an update on that one. She asked, oh, well, no, this is just Kardashian news. She's asked for €1 in damages from, we covered this on Objection Celebrity Court Chatter before it was the rerun. Remember, she won the case against the grandpa robbers, the people who robbed her in France. And so they, were supposed to pay her back the damages. She won damages from them, and she only asked for just €1. So that was really interesting. That was headlines like, oh, she didn't want, to hurt them, but one of them is dead. One of them died before the trial. They're like super old. They probably don't have any money anyway. So this is probably just a PR move because she's been in this this fight. So Ray J has come out and he's saying that Judge Ellis is asking both sides to brief a critical question. Does emotional distress count as special damages for defamation per quad? The answer determines whether the entire case survives on this anti-SLAPP motion. This is Ray J's position. Special damages means actual economic loss only. Lost contracts, lost income, dollar figures, emotional distress, therapy, and vague reputational harm doesn't cut it. Kardashians haven't proven a single specific economic loss. Kardashian and Quinn Emanuel with Alex Spiro, which, I said I was Team Kardashian because Alex Spiro is one of the top lawyers. And I just wanted to see him flex. But Howard King has been doing really good against Spiro. It's been interesting to watch the docket. Emotional distress is recognized special damages. Therapy costs, communication consultants, legal advisors, all that is real money spent because of his statement. Plus, the statements accuse them of criminal racketeering, making this defamation per se. So no special damages would be needed. Her signed declaration denies all the RICO allegations as well, even though Ray J's mom also signed something saying that, no, they did steal from her. It says it was dismissed via settlement, no admission of liability. So Kim saying that this is recycled and discredited allegations. She incurred expenses for therapy, communications team, and strategic advisors to combat his false narrative. So on May 13, in his reply, Ray J doubles down even after the declarations. There's still no specific dollar amounts, no timing, no link between individual statements and individual expenses. It flags inconsistencies in how plaintiffs characterize his statements across filings. The anti-SLAPP ruling is still pending. So if you guys wanted to go check out that full case, I guess it's a 404. I have to fix that. I'll fix that one. I do have the full Ray J case file as well. He's been also going on like a tour talking about them, basically doubling down on the sex tape allegations and all that. Sorry, I hope I'm not making y'all dizzy. I'll fix that link so you guys can go check out the full case file. Or you could just go to cases. You guys can just go to like cases. Maybe I'll flex the search case. So here, like you could just type in like Kim, like even if I just do KI. But so there's Kim Kardashian. So you guys can just look for it by, and then here's the full case file right here. And I'll fix that link so you guys can go directly from the show notes. And here's all the documents that, shout out to Document Things. We have them on a featured, we have featured dockets now. We added that as well up here. And Document Things, they're amazing. They have also, here's all the tea if you guys wanted to go read that for yourselves. So let me go back to the show page. Fat Joe versus Dixon. We also covered this one when we were Objection Celebrity Court Chatter. It's getting ugly. So oral arguments were held at SDNY. This one is basically he's saying that he violated a bunch of, it's another sanctions motions. Both sides are accusing each other of abusive conduct, obstruction, and violating protective orders. On April 24th, Judge Rochon held Dixon, Blackburn, and Blackburn's law firm in contempt for skipping court-ordered depositions. Because Tyrone Blackburn is Dixon's attorney, and then it's like when the lawyers end up also in the cases, because he ended up getting a lawsuit as well where he like ran over somebody or tried to run over someone. So I don't know. Tyrone Blackburn has kept us fed with his own drama, and he's the lawyer representing Dixon. So anyways, Kat Knott Williams really covers this case very well. She's my go-to for all the Fat Joe stuff. So anyways, they were ordered to reimburse the videographer and court reporter costs and decline harsher sanctions due to supposed medical issues that they claimed. Fat Joe's attorney, Jordan C., files letter accusing defendants of still willfully refusing to comply with the April 24th order. So the court issued an order to show cause explaining why the sanctions shouldn't be imposed. Blackburn then fired back with a cross motion, and he basically accused them of leaking confidential deposition materials to the media and of abusive conduct during the March 27th deposition. Fat Joe moves to dismiss Dixon's entire amended complaint with prejudice as of May 15th. Exhibits include copyright registrations for Fat Joe's tracks and a March 2025 demand letter where Blackburn claimed Dixon ghost wrote approximately 80 to 90% of the lyrics. So you guys can go read the full article over on LA Mag, and then we also have the full case page here. It's Cartagena versus Dixon, which is Fat Joe's last name. Fat Joe and his former hype man are locked in dueling lawsuits. Joe calls it an extortion shakedown, and Dixon claims that he had unpaid wages. The most explosive allegations which was RICO and minors. That's what we covered. It was a case that I did with when I was doing CJ After Hours when I was night at that point. It was a quid pro quo case. It had Tyler Perry and then the Fat Joe stuff. But it seems like those allegations have been dropped. So you guys can go see the docket over on Court Listener. And basically it's just a lawsuit where Fat Joe first struck against Terrence, saying that he had defamed him and tried to extort him. And they were like partners or whatever. It says Dixon countersued in June, saying that he had unpaid wages and he had witnessed Fat Joe with underage girls, which were, I guess, people that were trying to get like famous or whatever, according to Terrence. It says in March 2026, those claims were dropped. And it was dismissed without prejudice on March 30th. So yeah, if you guys wanted to go see the actual court filing, you guys can see that the very first where Joe files against him, and then you guys can see the whole docket. It's available on Court Listener, or follow at Kat Knott Williams, who is following it. I don't know why it's supposed to open up in a new window, so sorry about that, y'all. Sorry, I hope I'm not making y'all dizzy. Go down here, okay. So here is Kat Knott Williams' Fat Joe case. It says, new article from @Colin Lauren. Quoted thread below has motions and clips from some of the depositions at the heart of the sanctions issues. So I think she did like a live read of some of the stuff as well. And so here's the answer to all that. And then the court listener full docket and the full case page as well here. Another update on one of the cases is Paris Jackson. She finally scored $625,000 that were returned to the estate. If you guys know, she's suing. This is a really interesting case because the Michael Jackson estate, the people who are running his estate, were like spending money. It's Bronca and McLean is their names. They were spending the money like frivolously for bonuses. There were bonuses paid to outside law firms that worked on the estate that should be returned to the state. So she's asking for 463 additionally. She already won 625. She's asking for accrued interest. So they were mismanaging the state money for themselves. And yeah, so if you guys wanted to go see the full case page, that is also there. Let me see if it opens up. I might just open it up over here under cases, just in case it does start up. So that's one that we've been following. And this is one of the estate holders right there. So yeah, she's basically saying that the core issue is estate accounting transparency. Parents is questioning how large bonuses and fees were being paid to third-party law firms and how, like, who was approving all that. Like, it was basically, it seems like they were trying to make their friends rich or something. So if you guys wanted to further deep dive into that, so good for Paris and for winning that fight. It's like, I should have had her in the Bitch Better Have My Money segment. That I should have included her there. And then the State versus Woods that I was talking about, prescription records have been ruled admissible. Florida judge now approves the state request to compel Woods prescription drug records. They were fighting. Woods did not want it included. The records are under a protective order, though, so only prosecutors, law enforcement, expert witnesses, and the defense can see it. Woods' medical info will not be made public. And let me show you guys the full docket we have on Tiger. Here's Tiger's docket. You guys can see all the letters. This is what I find spicy. All the letters that people in the community wrote saying like he's caused enough, like, you know, one of these days he's going to kill somebody, basically saying that he needs more than just a slap on the wrist. And because, you know, he's been on this prescription med stuff where he's driving while under the influence of them and has caused, you know, damage to like his own vehicles and stuff. But like what happens when somebody actually really gets hurt? They said whether a famous, wealthy, politically connected defendant will be treated the same as an ordinary citizen. So there's a bunch of letters. At J Bronius is my go-to over on X. They're the ones following and pulling all the dockets. So it's really interesting. These are all the letters that the communities. Tiger Woods has a drug problem. His driver's license should be revoked immediately. And if he's caught driving again, he goes to jail. He's a danger to society. So that's the juicy part on this case, is all the citizen letters. And hopefully, I mean, he went to rehab. He just got out of rehab. Another juicy tidbit is I think he dates Kai Trump's mom, who is Donald Trump's son's ex or whatever. So that's another interesting little juicy tidbit on him. So we have that one. The King Joseph versus Will Smith. It got kicked back. We had just put that on the docket, and that was the guy that had the. He said that he found like a little basket or something with HIV meds, and saying that Will Smith had put it there. And then when he complained, he got fired. That he's saying like Will Smith was trying to get at him. It was his violinist on tour, that he was supposedly groomed for sexual exploitation. Well, the judge didn't think that there was enough there, and they said it was conclusory and unsupported. So we'll see if he amends it or not, because he was granted leave to amend it to provide more evidence or whatever it is. But we'll keep an eye on that one. But for now, this one is case closed. Seems like Will Smith won that one. Ryanso versus Yeezy. This is a new one. I'm telling you, like every day that I like blink, he's in a new lawsuit. So I always joke around that Kanye's collecting them like infinity stones, collecting lawsuits. So this is a web design bill that was unpaid, or maybe now I know of more of Yeezy's lawsuits, but because I'm covering celebrity lawsuits, maybe he's always had a ton. And I know that being a celebrity, all kinds of people try to sue you, and when you're like, you know, putting a microscope on it, you might find more. But you know, celebrity dockets, that's what we do now. We just see who's suing what. And we don't have like everything on here. I don't really include like reality TV stars or YouTubers yet. I know a lot of people wanted me to do Mr. Beast. I haven't gotten to it yet to include it on the docket. We do only have like one sports one, which is Stefon Diggs. I know DFJ was talking about the Padres one, but that one's already done. But yeah, so he's being sued by his web design. And so most of Yeezy's are unpaid work fees and workplace related like harassment and stuff. So we have that one on the case page. Also, the John Doe versus Yee, he basically claims that he was sucker punched at the Chateau Marmont. I know the last time on our last show, I thought those were included on the case page, and they weren't. So for whatever reason, I had thought I had put him in there, but now they're there. So he's saying that the man groped Bianca, and that's why he sucker punched him. So in discovery right now, hotel surveillance footage and witness depositions are expected to be pivotal in this case. So this one's in discovery. This one just dropped. So we'll see how that goes. This is another one that's been kind of juicy. It's a Japanese company, Moondream, is suing Saweetie and Jason Derulo for an Afro Jam breach. I thought this one was really interesting. So shout out to Document Things for bringing this one to our attention. So she's being sued in Los Angeles. So Saweetie, it's the same company, but Saweetie's has like another twist to it. Not only did she not show up for the concert that she had already been paid for in advance, she used the money that they gave her to travel and do the concert at a different venue with different promoters. So yeah, that one is super juicy. And then Derulo's is just that they gave him $200,000 and he never showed up. So we have both of those, full case page for that. Let me just pull it up here. And then I'll check the chat, you guys, because I haven't checked the chat. And see what y'all are saying. Streaming says I'd write a letter for Tiger if I knew where to send them. I can find out for you. I mean, I think that if you go to the case page and look at the letters, I'm sure it has like which court it's in. Let me go see if I could look real quick for y'all. She's like, if I knew where to send it, but I think it's like concerned citizens. I don't know if they would just take any letter. But let's see, it's out of Martin County Court. Silent. Martin County Court in Florida. That's where it would have to be addressed if you were to write a letter. But I think that this is just like citizens who live in the county who are telling the county judge saying like, hey, so I don't know how that would work, but that's funny. Hold on, let me go back to this one. Jason Derulo. Did I say it wrong? Derulo? Is that how you say it? Jason, or is it Derulo? I don't know how to say his last name, actually. I thought it was Derulo. Derulo? What, did I say it wrong? That's my best friend. She a real bad bitch, get her own money. Hey, Kenny, welcome back. Woods, what were y'all on? He was on prescription, like, I think it was like out of coding. I don't know. I don't think we found out because I'm mixing it up with a homegirl, Brittany. She was on prescription. Well, it wasn't her prescription, but she was on someone's prescription Adderall. Look into Jaguar, right? When she says about Cat Williams, she defends him. Oh, when I say Cat Williams, I meant Cat, not Williams. It's a creator, but yeah. I'll look into Jaguar and Cat, the real Cat Williams. No, I was talking about. Oh, thank you, Christina. You're doing a great job, CJ. I know a couple of mishaps here and there, but that's okay. I just wanted to hang out with y'all and show y'all the website. Like, honestly, I'm putting a lot of my efforts into the site itself, just because I feel like creators can use it, and also like, you know, nosy citizens like me who just want to be like, I just want to read the court filings, and I wish I could read them all like live. Like initially I thought like, oh, I'll just pull up the dockets and read them for each thing. I don't know. We'll see how the show progresses. Obviously the rebrand is only a couple weeks old. We're only a month old. We're still babies, y'all. We're still figuring out our time slot, how we're going to do it. Is it going to be videos? Are we going to see still going live? Maybe I'll do some polls over on the community post. Gel says Samsung will pay her something and then it'll blow over, but I believe all actors should have their rights to their likeness and voice. And yeah, I added the Taylor Swift AI one to the Taylor page because she's also been fighting for like her AI voice and likeness. Matthew McConaughey was one of the first stars that did that. So I agree, but I also think that it wasn't like they were using her likeness to sell products. I feel like they had all kinds of stuff on there, like other news, like Fox Sports and all that. I think it's just they were showing like what you could potentially watch on TV, and maybe they did think that they had a licensing. So we'll see. Oh, Gal said Shakira did better than Wesley Snipes. Well, no, she paid the original one that they had told her, but I guess they're reimbursing her now. And yeah, the Kevin Hart roast was messy and also went sideways really bad and controversial. So Kevin Hart's not having like a very good. He was also like name dropped a lot in the Diddy stuff. So the way I know how he says it, he would sing it in his songs. Oh, hey, Bocce. Can you phonetically spell it? How do you say it? Is it Derulo? Derulo. Derulo. Ooh, okay. Derulo. What's up, Bocce? Who's a Bay Area girly? So I don't know. Oh, Saweetie. Yeah, Saweetie does R&B. I really like her music. Yeah, I was going to feature the DUI video and all that stuff with Brittany. Hold on, we're streaming live. I decided I didn't want to go that route with the Brittany stuff. I know I'm Celebrity Dockets and I'm like y'all's go-to, and I was going to add it to the case page and all that, but I don't know. Part of me just didn't feel like good enough doing that. So I was like, you guys can always go to someone like TMZ who doesn't care and will just like post it. I just didn't feel like it added anything or was like interesting. Like I'm all for like celebrity, you know, news and like what's going on with them and stuff. And I did watch it. I'm not gonna lie, I did watch it, but I didn't feel comfortable putting it on the page or on the show. But I did watch it, and I thought that like the description of what happened versus what was actually happening in the video, like the way that and also just like the report where the officer was like, it's a rundown like green dress. I was like, her dress was actually kind of cute. I don't know. Yeah, she does rap, Christina. and Jason Derulo is an R&B. They're R&B and rap artists. Jason Derulo had one good song. Wait, he also cheated on his wife in Vegas? Oh, Kevin Hart. Yeah, I remember that. Look at Kenny quoting all the songs. Okay, so let's look through what we have on that case page. I just pulled it up. So it's just been newly filed. Here's the case numbers. So you guys go to LA Superior Court, the portal here, and then these are the case numbers that you would put in if you wanted to go see what's going on your own. But here's both complaints in full, Saweetie's and Derulo's. Shout out to Document Things. And then here's the flyer it was promoted here. So that's the flyer that promoted it. And yeah, you guys can get all the tea on the case page. So let's continue with that one. So that's a new one. Okay, update on Ghost versus Rebel, the US case, right? It has been so basically there was an appeal that Rebel filed because the defamation suit got thrown out, or basically it was going to move forward, and she filed an appeal saying like or wasn't going to move forward. Court finds a probability of prevailing on their claim. So it says Wilson's anti-SLAPP appeal was her big swing for dismissal. Okay, so this is what it is. Sorry, guys. So Wilson appealed the anti-SLAPP because she said it was like freedom of speech or whatever, and they disagreed. So she filed an appeal, and basically they said no, there is a probability of her prevailing. So trial is now set for October 2026. They're in full discovery, and I've been looking to see what is in the discovery page. Let's go look real quick to see if anything has dropped in the Australia. And we're going to be wrapping it up here soon, you guys. In the Australian docket. So here's the case page right here for the Amanda Ghost case. And I did add the two. So where I added it, and I gave a shout out to Miriam for that. So Miriam a long time ago gave me like the funds for it, but I was like, I didn't want to report on it just because it got like super dark with like Russian yacht girls and all kinds of stuff. I was like, oh, I don't know. I didn't feel right, like whatever. But courtesy of Miriam at Bizio Music. Thank you, Miriam. So I credited her for these two dockets. She had fueled the docket, and I was able to get these documents. So here's the original complaint. I don't know why it says Ghost Cameron and Holden versus Wilson. Sorry, I was thinking about James Cameron. Okay, and then here's the cross complaint. So we have the original complaint and the cross complaint available because of Miriam. So thank you, Miriam, for that. But here's the website for the Australian case. So let's go see if anything has dropped since May 11th. That's the last time we checked it. No. But if you guys wanted a deep dive on what actually like stemmed from the ghost stuff, the McInnes one that was in Australia, you guys can deep dive here. And so there's the link, and you guys can go and like get all the tea. There's emails. There's all kinds of stuff in here. Okay, so that's the latest on the Rebel Wilson stuff. FKA Twigs versus the Twigs. The name fight goes nuclear. So remember, FKA Twigs first sued the sisters, the Twigs, saying that they were trying to infringe on her, and that she just wants, once and for all, she wants a judge to either say like she owns the name or she doesn't own the name Twigs. And then the Twigs ended up doing an answer and a counterclaim, which we just added to the docket. They're claiming trademark infringement, reverse confusion, unfair competition, false designation of origin. This reminds me of the Taylor Swift. So that's why I put them together. Flag versus Taylor Swift. They're very similar. It says that FKA Twigs celebrity doesn't entitle her to overwhelm their pre-existing trademark. Because FKA literally was told no, she couldn't use the Twig name. And so then she just added FKA before Twigs. Because before she was Twigs. So she added formerly known as, and just rebranded with the FKA. So anyways, 5 affirmative defenses, including reverse confusion, progressive encroachment, estoppel, unclean hands, saying your hands are not clean. Unclean hands basically means you can't file a lawsuit if your street, your sidewalk isn't clean. Seeking monetary damages for profits and all that stuff. So you guys can go see that full case file as well. Let's see, Twigs. So it doesn't have its own. I don't know, you guys. Tell me in the chat if you guys would want the Twigs fight to have its own, because I have it under Barnett versus LaBeouf. I have the side quest, which is over here on the side, which is LaBeouf's New Orleans criminal case. and then FKA Twigs, the trademark lawsuit. Or should I just make it bigger, like up at the top of the page? Like, so it also includes Barnett versus LaBeouf, and then maybe here I could put Twigs versus FKA Twigs, and then the other. Or should I just make separate pages for the criminal? So you guys can tell me in the chat if y'all, what do y'all think is better? That I just keep it all here, maybe just move it to the top so you guys can get to it more easy, or do I just make a separate page for the trademark stuff and for the criminal complaint against LaBeouf? Which I haven't checked on that criminal complaint. I'll have to do it for next week's episode. So y'all can tell me in the chat what y'all think. And then we're going to get into Flag versus Taylor Swift, the Showgirls trademark war. The go-to for this case, I would say, is actually Brianna Eve. That's who I go to for the latest, and she reads all the docs and all that stuff. I don't know if DFJ, she was covering it. I don't know if she's still covering it, if she's covered the latest. Is DFJ still here? She can let us know if she's still covering it. But those were the two that I was going to for this case, was DFJ and Ashley Brianna Eve. It says, and then Mandy Magnan, too. She was covering it, too. I don't know if she has, but the one that I know most recently has been covering it is Abe. So Venable LLP has fired back with unclean hands. This is Taylor's people, claiming that Flag used Swift's IP in 40-plus social media posts, shifted her branding to mimic the album 4 days after it was announced, and launched a copycat podcast. They lean on the Rogers versus Grimaldi First Amendment case, calling Flag's marks suggestive and conceptually weak under Sleekcraft, and cites Lady Gaga's Mayhem case as precedent. So then Flag responded right after. They defended the confusion of exhibits. They flagged Swift's Exhibit 84 as an 11-page brief disguised as an exhibit. It violated the 25-page limit, and, quote, defendants assert First Amendment protection for napkins and hairbrushes. 8-month delay kills urgency, says Swift. An injunction would cause tens of millions in losses. Flag waited from August 2025 to April 2026 to seek emergency relief. So we'll have to see what all that is going, because there is a hearing, preliminary injunction hearing on May 27th. So we'll figure out, because the injunction basically means that Flag wants all sales of anything related to Life of a Showgirl and all that to halt until this is resolved. So that's what the hearing is going to be. So it's going to be May 27th in that courtroom. And let's pull up. You guys can go to that docket. And this is all available on Court Listener. So Court Listener has the full docket. You guys can go there to read all the filings. So here's the latest May 13th response. And then here's the May 6th down here. For all the exhibits and stuff, I feel like Abe went over all the exhibits. So I think she had them. So go check out her videos on it, because she had a deep dive on it. And then let's go back to the case page. Sorry, I don't know. I lost it, y'all. Okay, here we go. So you guys go to Court Listener, and then here's the case page with all the latest on the timeline. So each case page has a timeline on the side. So you guys can just go and check out like what's the latest. So the latest is this hearing. And then June 2nd, defendant's response is due, because there was an extension that was given. So yeah, you guys, here's also the AI trademark following from Taylor Swift that I included. And again, should I just include like the side quests that up at the top, you think like it's easier to see than, scrolling all the way and then on the side? But here's the AI stuff. It's got she's trying to do "Hey, it's Taylor Swift" as a voice, and then a visual image mark of her in a pink guitar and bodysuit of her image is what she provided as registering her voice and her image. So yeah, let me know if y'all think it's easier to go on top. I'm gonna check the chat right now, but here's the rest of the dockets and websites stuff that we have here, the opposition and all that stuff, and then the full docket on Court Listener. So let me go back to the episode, and then I'll check to see what you guys are saying. This is one courtesy also of Miriam that we got, which was the second lawsuit against Kylie Jenner. So we already had covered Angelica Vasquez's one, and I thought I had uploaded Juana Delgado Soto's, but it wasn't there the last time we looked. And then I realized I didn't even have the documents, because Document Things provided the Angelica Vasquez one. And then as a courtesy for all of their great efforts, I ended up giving them the Kylie one for their page, for their ex. I was like, you can, I gave them the one without the watermark, because I was like, you can use it for your own stuff, because you've provided so many documents for Celebrity Dockets, and I thought that would be a good partnership with us where I was like, here, so thank you, Miriam, who got it, not just for me, but also for document things to share. But it was my first docket that I went out and bought all by myself. So thank you, Bizio, for providing that. And thank you, DFJ, for the idea, because the day that Bizio donated the $20, DFJ was like, oh my God, you know which one I really want is the Kylie Jenner, the second lawsuit. And I was like, ooh, I actually have the funds to buy that one. So let's go to the full case page real quick, and I can show you guys. It's my very first watermarked docket that I bought with my own little money. Celebrity Dockets is growing up. So you can see it here. And we got the Celebrity Dockets watermark there. So I don't know. That was a cool little milestone that I got to like buy my own. I mean, obviously we had already bought the Rebel ones a long time ago, but this one was cool because it was through the other ones I bought through Trellis. These ones were through the LA Superior Court, County Court and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. And it just seems like it's not Kylie Jenner per se, but this one does, because apparently she put like a note reporting to Kylie Jenner what was happening behind the scenes. Because both of these are workplace harassment lawsuits where they're saying that the person who was like overseeing them was harassing them. So this one only had 6 causes of actions, which was wage theft, cleaning Chalamet's home without being reimbursed for it, religion and immigration discrimination. This is whistleblower retaliation, saying that she said something and then her pay was cut. They ignored her brother's death. There was a massage bed letter that was left. So basically she was having a massage Kylie Jenner, and Juana left a letter saying like, this is what's happening to me. And then they basically said like, don't you ever address Kylie. Don't you leave a letter. So, but it's still, we don't know if she actually read it or if it got to her. Like, did somebody else see the letter, like one of the masseuses, and pull it out? So I still like want to give Kylie the benefit of the doubt here and say that Kylie in both of these, like, she didn't know what the heck was going on. This is more for the companies and the people supervising them. But you guys can tell me now that the docket is there for you guys to read and all that. So let me see what y'all are saying. Kenny says, I'm not sure how to do it. Why does it say TriStar on it? Because it says TriStar is the company of the company name. It's TriStar Services. I don't think it's attached to the actual TriStar from Britney Spears. It could, I don't know, but it's the name of the staffing companies. So I think it's just a coincidence. I don't think it's the actual real TriStar. I haven't like find out, but it says TriStar Services LLC. So I don't know if that's the TriStar related to Britney, or if it's, to me, I thought it was like a cleaning service or some kind of like hiring service or HR type thing. But I don't know. That'd be a good question to look into. But let me see if anybody else chimed in. Oh, Sarah, Yarn and Order also covered. Is this the Taylor Swift one? Okay. Did they cover the Taylor Swift one? How do I not remember that? So nobody knows what to do. I don't know. I guess I'll just figure out like whether it looks better up at the top. Or if I should just do a whole new page. Kenny was the only one who answered and said that she wasn't sure what to do. She's like, you're the one running it. So let's just see what's left as we wrap up the show, y'all. This one is super juicy. Brian Littrell, the Dune Allen Beach War is back. So there was a new hearing on May 19th. I have to see what actually happened there, because I've been searching and searching, and this is Shoreline Defender on Facebook is who's like literally following this so close. And they haven't posted since they posted this that there was a notice of hearing against so basically BLB Beach Hut is Brian Littrell's LLC, and they sued the sheriff's office, the Allen Beach Incorporated, and then a resident, Carolyn Hill, saying that like the beach is it's part of their property, and where does the property line finish and where does it end? And he's just been harassing people. So the Walton County Sheriff one was dismissed with prejudice, and many believed it was permanently over, but a notice of hearing popped up in the docket, which raises new questions about what is happening behind the scenes. So I don't know if this is going to get reignited or what. They met about something. And then June 9th, they're going to have a status conference for the title lawsuit that continues in the appeals court. They sent it back to the local court. And supporters of Dune Allen Beach believe the appellate court recognized that important factual and legal questions remain unresolved, especially concerning historic deed descriptions and the meaning of 315 feet. Like how far away and like where. It sounds so petty. It's just like, I mean, I get it, but then like don't buy property beachfront, like, you know, beachfront property. If you, I don't know. To me, this just seems like such a petty lawsuit. And I met the Backstreet Boys at like a meet and greet where I had sent I had like their action figures from when they were like with Burger King or whatever. And I was like, oh, my question is, because everybody got to ask a question. And I was like, my question is like, will the comic book ever be brought back? Because it was like all the Backstreet Boys was like comic book characters. And all the other Backstreet Boys were like, oh my God, this is so awesome. I can't believe you still have the toys, and like grabbed them. And like Brian grabbed his and like he literally took it and like kicked it out into the audience. And like everybody got all quiet. And then all of a sudden they started fighting. And Brian's like, oh, this was a like bad idea. It was Nick's terrible idea. And then Nick and AJ were like, well, it's actually cool. They were trying to like diffuse it because I was like, are they literally like, did I literally just start a fight between the Backstreet Boys? Like, this is, everybody just felt really uncomfortable. And so that's my experience with Brian Lachelle. So I don't know if that's my personal experience. I don't know if like that's what people are seeing, because this is a lawsuit against Carolyn Hill. It involves allegations related to sitting on the wet sand near his property. So I'm like, I don't know. I've seen how he acted firsthand. And then basically the people who were running it were like, okay, the questions are over, like, because it just got like really awkward. And all he could have said was like, oh, like, it was just, I felt like disrespectful. Like he just kicked it out into the audience, and then my action figures just like somewhere out in the audience and stuff. And I don't know, it was really disappointing to see, but everybody else was super nice. So anyways, that's just like a little side quest of my experience with Brian. But Teresa Longo fans, she's broken a lot of stuff that's, you know, she said before. And then it comes true, but she has exclusive stuff where people were telling her like different things, how he's coming out saying, stay off my beach. So I don't know if he's just turned into like the curmudgeon-y old man, like, stay off my lawn. That he'll yell at sunbathers and stuff. So if you guys wanted to go check out the tweets, you can go into Show More and see that, and then see the full case page. Bad Bunny, the house that built the album. We covered this on Objection Live, and I did something really cool last week, y'all. I translated the Bad Bunny lawsuit for La Casita so everyone can read it. So I have an English translation on that. So if you guys are curious about the Bad Bunny lawsuit against, it's basically this old man who signed like a papers for them to use his house for like the video, but like he never signed it to be used on like merger for him. He basically did a complete replica for his tour and made like all this money. And then also it became like a tourist spot because people wanted to go see the original La Casita. And so he had all these people outside his home and stuff. So he basically sued and said that, you know, he couldn't really read and that he doesn't think that it's his signature on the other contract. He said that he just signed his signature like on a blank phone screen, that it was just like a digital signature, like on this blank screen, that he didn't know what he was actually signing. And that he was only paid $5,200 for just the video part. And that he doesn't know like where all the other stuff came from. Whether that contract was then made and then his signature plugged in or whatever. So that's what he's accusing him of. And he wants $5 million in unjust enrichment and $1 million in damages. So all of it has already been briefed. So I went to the Puerto Rican courts, which is not easy to find, but here's the case number. And if you go to the full case page, it also has the link to the Puerto Rican courts. If you don't read Spanish, you can translate the actual, the docket page to English, but like you can't translate the actual documents to English because it's like, it becomes like a PDF. So that's why I translated it for you guys. But yeah, it's been fully briefed. And so we're just waiting for that as well. And it says Bad Bunny. This is what's, Bad Bunny's latest. He just started his tour in Barcelona, so he must be unfazed by this. But I also included two other lawsuits, on the Bad Bunny page, which is voice theft, which is basically these girls that say that he used their voices on songs and they didn't get compensated. Both of them had gone to like the appeals court, so those are still waiting as well. So we'll keep you guys updated on that one. And then last but not least, we have Live Nation, who was asking the judge to overturn the monopoly verdict. So jurors said that Live Nation and Ticketmaster are an illegal monopoly, but now the company is saying that the jury got it wrong. Live Nation is asking the judge to overturn the verdict for lack of evidence, calling it legally indefensible. So we updated that one. I thought it was over. It's like, it's the never-ending docket now. Stefon Diggs, remember we covered that? His accuser, the chef, is still going. So Tea with Tia and Come with the Facts have all the tea. basically she's accusing the other girl of, she's saying Mia accuses Sia of allegedly knowing about Stefon cheating on and mistreating Cardi B, but still taking his side because they pay you. So she had accused the braider Sia also of being one of the people. Like, it basically, she was saying that Stefon Diggs was hiring all these people and then like cheating on Cardi B with, but she has not let it go. And most people are like, you need to just let it go. Like, the case is over, you know, you lost, but she's still coming out with receipts. So if you guys wanted to check that out, as well as the full case page of what happened, that was an interesting case. It had what's his name, Meister Schuleg, whatever, what is his name? Let me go to the full case page real quick. From the who was it that was, I forget his name. It's from the Wayfarer attorney. Remember, he just got a promotion. Anyways, he was representing Stefon Diggs, and he was basically saying, like, why did Boston, famous for the Karen Reed, why did they even bring this lawsuit? It was frivolous. So yeah, so that's it. And then next week I'm gonna be adding these. I was kind of like, should I add the Jay-Z one? Because I don't want no smoke. So I don't know, y'all. I'm planning on adding it only because sorry, I hope I'm not making y'all dizzy. Because Camille Vasquez is representing Tony Busby. We all know Tony Busby is mostly famous for you know, like these frivolous lawsuits or whatever. But yeah, the case is now in full swing. It's going to be Sean Carter versus Tony Busby. You guys remember that he was sued because he was trying to sue him for like here, let's go here. The federal lawsuit Carter versus Busby is officially moving into the discovery phase after a judge entered a full case management schedule extending into early 2027. It stems from the now withdrawn allegations that briefly linked Jay-Z to the wider Sean Combs legal controversy. After those allegations became public, Carter filed suit against Tony Busby and others, accusing them of defamation, malicious prosecution, abuse of process, and knowingly spreading false info. According to the newly signed federal scheduling order, both parties must now begin formally exchanging evidence, communications, witness information, all that, and it's scheduled for February 2027 for expert discovery and fact discovery through December 2026. It is expected to be tried by a jury, and settlement discussions have not occurred yet. So I don't know if it's going to settle, but the only reason why I don't really mess with anything that has to do with Jay-Z, but I just wanted to add it because our girl Camille, what? She's repping Tony. And then also Floyd Mayweather has a new one, which a lot of people are making fun of. Oh, he can't read, whatever, because apparently his lawyers, or not his lawyers, but his business accounting managers took advantage of him to the tune of $175 million. So Document Things has the full docket, so I'm going to add that one, as well as any other updates that come up on next week's thing. But the docket is open, you guys. We have 48 cases that we're tracking. With Floyd and the Busby case, we'll eventually be having 30. Or no, sorry, not 30, 50. 50. And so, yeah, we added 7 new dockets this week, as well as a couple attorney profiles. And then we also added the featured up here where it features all the dockets. And then I have not updated recess yet. Court is in recess. But we do have, I'm going to add this. This is so fun. JJ Watt and Caleb Williams just pulled off the greatest NFL inside job of all time and knocked Smucker's Uncrustables. Because it's this whole thing about how Smucker's Uncrustables is like what football players eat the most. And so they realized the statistics, and these two football players, JJ Watt and Caleb Williams, decided to come up with their own brand of Uncrustables and got a deal with the NFL that they would only include their Uncrustables in all the football locker rooms. And like they were saying, like, yeah, you could still eat Uncrustables or whatever. Smucker's fumbled the bag. They're like, you know, people will still bring it in, but the ones that they made have twice as much protein and are just better. So I thought that was cool. So I'll update the recess page this week. It'll be updated because right now it's still the old one. I also wanted to feature some new music. Right now I'm heavily playing this song. I'm trying to get them to 10,000 views. Let me pull it up here. It's by the Rose Hips. It's called Spacey. So if you guys wanted to go check it out, I'll link it, or I'll try and link it, or it'll be on the recess page. But look, they're at 8,000 views, and I just keep commenting. I'm like, who else is back here again? Let's get it to 10K. Literally song of the summer. It is such a good song. I'm working on an edit with the song for the Wayfarer and parties and stuff. You guys know I do my edits over on TikTok, and I'm gonna be using that one. But yeah, I'll add that to recess. Some new songs. Obviously, I have my summer playlist now on Spotify. I have 3 songs on there, so we'll add that. And then, yeah, we'll update that page. Thanks for fueling the docket. Special shout out to Miriam again for fueling the docket. To the cats as well for fueling the docket this weekend. Thanks for all you guys' help this weekend and keeping me all fueled up, as well as a big shout out to Mundo Grease. Happy birthday to him, and thank you for fueling the docket as well. That's what keeps the show pulling, filing, signing receipts, and giving citizen sleuths their flowers. So thanks for everyone who has fueled the docket or who stayed through to watch. We have the QR code at the top if you found value or if you want to continue to fund the docket. Let us know. You can, click this link on the show page or go here. And then also the celebrity dockets at the bottom has a little coffee. So I appreciate everyone for staying tonight. I know it's Memorial Day weekend. Everybody has to go back to work tomorrow. So thank you, DFJ, for modding. I don't know if she's still here or not. I know it was a long night. And obviously Christina, who's jokingly said that now she has custody of me, which is so funny because I usually go on in the mornings, and Laura and DFJ are oh yeah, there's DFJ. She's saying we can't see the screen. Where was that part where I wasn't showing the screen? CJ is grinding on research. Damn, girl, that is a lot of research. Yeah, and it's just fun. I like it. I like the website a lot. Like, I do love the shows and the live stuff, but I love like putting new things on the website and curating the website. It's really, really fun. She said, yeah, I've been here the whole time. Okay, sorry, DFJ. I didn't see you, and a lot of people like came and went, so I wasn't sure because I was like reading the comments, and then I didn't see you in the comments, and then I would see you in the comments, so I wasn't sure. And I know it's late for you. Christina says, that's right, you're under my care now. So thank you, DFJ, for everything. And again, let me really quickly plug our true crime stuff. We did do a stream yesterday, so if you go on the actual the page, hold on one second. If you go here to TCS, we have the whole true crime story. So for all you true crimers, we did the Larry Maletti stuff. And we didn't get to finish all of it. We just got to day 1. So we'll do like day 2. It's going to come back tomorrow. So we'll have more to go over, but it's a 3-month trial. So if you guys wanted to just go look at what's there, it's a ton of stuff. We have the sketch artist. Y'all know I'd be loving my sketch artist, but yeah, me and her did a show. It's on her channel as well as on my channel as well. So thank you for that. So yeah, anyways, you guys, thanks so much. Thanks, CJ and mods. And we don't have a video to go out to today. We don't have video. So we're just going to say bye. No Russian goodbye, y'all. Thank you all for everything. Y'all take care, and we will see you guys on the next one.